Hello there my fellow sim racers, and welcome to today's video. And today there's going to be no sim racing because I've decided to give you a little tour of my new sim racing den and sim racing setup. As you know, if you've been following the channel, I've been racing in a cupboard under the stairs for the last decade or so, but I finally got myself my own little sim racing den, my own little corner of the house to call my own. And I've been slowly but surely moving my stuff over into this little den, spreading out and setting things up in a more natural way, a more enjoyable and immersive way. And I thought, what better time to give you a complete breakdown, overview and detailed look at all the stuff I've got, why I've got it, and any future plans I got. So get ready, grab yourself a coffee, and hope you enjoy my rig tour. So just before we go into a deep dive of all my sim racing equipment, what I've got, and more importantly why I've got it, I thought I'd just give you a quick overview, a quick shot of the sim rig as it currently stands in my new sim racing den. Yes, I'm finally out of the sim racing cupboard for the first time in over a decade. As you can see, the rig itself is a Lab GT1 EVO aluminium extrusion rig. One of the best things I've ever bought. Hadn't had a dedicated rig up to this point. Hummed and hawed about it for such a long time, but so glad I finally committed to buying this style of sim rig, and it has been rock solid. It's over 3 years old. It's been changed configuration numerous times, and it's still, there's no creaking, there's no groaning, nothing's broken. The black anodizing, powder coating, however it's done, has held up so much better than I ever thought it would. And this is a rig now that I can't see myself ever changing from. It's a mid-range rig, but it is infinitely adjustable and adaptable. So I've bought a couple of extra pieces of aluminium extrusion for various little projects over the years, so you can just add and take away from it. And this is my sim rig of choice, and it's going to see me out my sim racing career. I have no doubt on that. Quick overview of the PC. You can just see it in the corner there in its somewhat odd and tatty looking white case. There is a story behind that. When I was in my sim racing cupboard, I only had a gap of 16 centimeters to slot a PC in between the rig and the cupboard wall. And this I found for about £20 on eBay. Not a very good case, a real pig to build in, but it fitted the gap, so it had to do. This is the next on the list of things to be replaced. I'm going to get myself a proper good black airflow case and rebuild the PC properly. Components wise, we've got 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM. We've got an AMD Ryzen 7 5800 X3D CPU, and the GPU is the Nvidia RTX 3080 Ti. It's a system that's good enough for me at the moment. I can play all my sims at the refresh rate and the resolution I want to, whilst recording and for video editing, photo editing. It's more than enough for me. So I'm probably going to skip this generation of CPUs and GPUs, and then in a year or two's time, when the next generation's out and bedded in, I'll probably look to upgrade then. But for now, the PC, apart from the case, is here to stay. Right, that's a quick overview. Let's get into the deep dive of all my sim racing gear. Okay, let's start the rig tour with the pedals. And those of you who follow my channel know that I've recently upgraded my sim racing kit, and I now have the Asetek SimSports Forte 2 pedal set. And then I purchased the optional Invicta clutch pedal to make a 3 pedal set, because I still like to go old school now and then, and I know that I would have missed the clutch if I didn't order it all at the same time. Now, I ordered the Prima wheelbase and rim, but I didn't take the chance to get the Prima pedals as part of a complete bundle, because I wanted the extra spring assembly for the throttle. I'd seen a lot of reviewers had said that the Prima pedals were somewhat light, and I knew the chances were that I was going to upgrade and buy the optional spring assembly at a later point. So I decided, get the Forte pedals now, and I've already got the upgraded parts that I would have bought at a future point. Now these, what made me go for the Asetek pedals over any others was the fact that all the reviews had said about how stiff, how hard the brake pedal was, and how little travel it had. This has been something that I've been looking for in a pedal set ever since I got back into serious sim racing. I hate a soft pedal, I hate long throw, long travel, so I wanted something that suited my somewhat ham-fisted driving style, where I tend to, you know, hammer on and off the pedals. And right from the first moment I set this up, I knew that this was it. This was the right pedal, the right hardware configuration for me. It really does need a stiff hold push, and I've still got the default elastomer in there. That you can go softer, go harder, but straight out of the box I found the brake pedal just suited me and my driving, and I can't say enough good things about it. But yeah, it is different to all the other pedals I've ever owned, but for me, different in a good way. The only change I've made to the throttle was I've changed out the original spring and I've fitted the upgraded spring that they give you in the kit. I found that having a stiffer throttle, it just gave me a little bit more resistance, a little bit more to work against, so it was easier for me to hold, you know, a partial throttle setting, and it just made it easier to slowly apply the throttle in a more progressive manner when coming out of the corners. The clutch pedal, well, this is the Invicta pedal, which is their top line. It's fully loaded. It's, you know, got that pressure plate feel to it with this sort of spring-loaded assembly at the rear. Again, apart from just adjusting the pedal so it just sits back slightly, just to put a couple of degrees worth of angle on the faceplate, this is stock standard as it came out the box. These must be one of the first pedal sets that I've had to make so little in the way of adjustments for to suit me and my driving style, and I couldn't be happier with. But again, they've been designed and built in a particular way, and if you race in bare feet or socks, I don't think these are the pedals for you. I have a pair of cheap karting boots I use, and they've been one of the most recent upgrades I've made that I've been the most pleased with, and I can't see myself ever changing from these Asetek pedals. The only thing I might do in the future is take the advantage of their upgradability and maybe swap out the load cell for the hydraulic system off the Invicta pedals, but we'll see as and when they introduce the upgrade components what the prices are like, and then we'll make a decision from there. But as it stands, I'm pretty confident these could be my forever pedals. Moving on to the wheel and wheelbase, and again this is the Asetek Sim Sports bundle, the La Prima wheel and wheel rim. I bought this after quite a lot of research. I have had a direct drive wheel before. I had the Sim Experience AccuForce V1 wheel, which had served me well for over 5 years. Never missed a beat. Really enjoyed using that wheel and the Sim Commander software. But I just wanted to, as I was changing the pedals, I had the opportunity to create my own bundle and go in with an ecosystem that had a future and an obvious upgrade path, so I could make changes without having to buy everything new next time round. So it's a Formula style wheel. First time I've ever had a Formula wheel. I've always had round rims before, and wasn't sure how I was going to take to it, but it's actually worked out a lot better than I thought, and it doesn't really notice when you're in the thick of the action. I do like the fact that they do sell a universal quick release system that will fit any USB wheel, so I have got options once I know what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I can buy a round rim as long as it's USB, buy the Invicta quick release, and I can upgrade and change my wheels as I go along. Now, as I said, this Prima wheel is 12 Newton meters, and so it comes in at a similar level to my AccuForce wheel, but the way it generates the force feedback, it's a lot more responsive, it seems a lot cleaner, a lot quicker. And in fact, I found quite often with the AccuForce wheel, I was having to turn the force feedback level up to get the feel, the weight to suit my my driving style. But with this wheel, I'm having to turn the force feedback down, so I'm not running it at 100% in any of my sim racing titles, and still find that it's quite a workout. So I don't know what sort of motor it's got in there, but I tell you, for 12 Newton meters, wasn't sure, took a chance because it's like a sideways move, but I'm really glad I did, because it is a definite upgrade to the AccuForce wheel that I had before. Again, there's options. I can upgrade the PCB in there, upgrade the power supply, and I can convert my Prima wheel into a Forte base, which gives me 18 Newton meters and a slightly faster slew rate. Whether I'm ever going to need to take that option, I don't know. At this moment in time, I don't think I need anything better than what I've got there, but the options there, I don't have to, you know, find a way of moving on my old stuff or throwing it away. I can just upgrade it bit by bit as and when I feel the need to. Just quickly about the wheel rim, it's got so many buttons on. It's only the Prima model. They've taken some of the functions out, like the clutch pedals on the rear. Not a big fan of those. I've had a rim with those before, never really used them. But we got funky switches on there, rotary dials. The buttons are really clickable, you know, and the shifters are magnetic, but they seem to have a soft feel to them. They haven't got that real clank clunk, so they're not overly loud, and so they don't come through on the recordings I make. It's just a really well thought out and put together piece of sim racing equipment, and so far I couldn't be happier, and I'm glad that I chose this over some of the other ones I was looking at, even if it was a couple of pounds extra. I can see where that value, you know, has worked out, and I can see where they've spent that extra money, and I think it will pay me back in my sim racing experience and the longevity of the equipment. I think I'm going to get my money's worth out of it. So just a quick look. This is my bucket seat that I use. It's a fixed bucket seat. It's an OMP TRS X. Not had it that long, but I made the upgrade ready for the change of pedals, because I knew how much force the Asetek was going to require, and I had a really cheap flimsy fiberglass bucket seat, and it was already creaking under heavy braking as it was, and I was concerned that the creaking, the cracking, it just wouldn't withstand the upgrade in the sim racing equipment. So this is a metal tubular framed bucket seat. It even comes with an FIA certification, although it's it's never going to see the inside of a real race car, that's for sure. But surprisingly enough, it has very little in the way of bolstering or cushioning, and I was really worried that I'm now in my 50s, whether I was going to find that uncomfortable at long periods. But it's a real lovely snug fit. It's far more comfortable than it looks, and I can spend hours in this rig and get out without any problems, any issues, no aches, pains, numbness. So it was a good investment. It's one of the more expensive seats I've brought, but again, I can see where the extra, you know, expenses come in with the tubular frame and the slightly, you know, thicker edges around where your elbows go and where your shoulders go, so it's not going to rub the fabric away. And I've been really impressed. Yes, the colours a little bit garish, don't really suit me, but that's the colours they make it in. So if you want that seat, you've got to put up with the somewhat ostentatious highlights on it. But from a comfort and mounting wise, brilliant, very pleased with it. Don't see me swapping it out anytime soon. So moving on, and next up are the screens. I've got a dual screen setup. As you can see, the second screen is only it's a little 11-inch USB monitor. I use that to have things like Crew Chief, the Asetek Racer, or my OBS Studio just running to one side off the main screen that I can glance to, check that my recordings are going okay, that if I need to make any changes to any software, I can do that away from the main screen. It doesn't affect the sim racing title. The main screen is a Huawei ViewMate. It's a 34-inch 1500R curved ultra-wide monitor, 21:9 aspect. It's 165 Hz, running on a display port, and it's 3440 by 1440 resolution. I don't run it at 165, I run it at 144, just so that's a better match for my PC hardware, and I can more or less run all my sims and guarantee that the graphics card and the monitor are working at the same frames per second, same refresh rate. I've been really impressed with this monitor. It's not the most expensive one out there as far as ultra wides go, but having that slight curve on it and being able to get it up close, actually it gives you a really good field of view, a really nice perspective, and so far it has been problem free. I've had no problems with pixels, flicker, anything. It's that good that I've now dropped using VR. I know I have an Oculus Rift S, and I've enjoyed myself with this curved ultra wide so much. It's given me the sense of immersion that I want and I need out of my sim racing, that I've now dropped VR and made the decision to sell that on. So I can't say there's you can't give a bigger vote of confidence in something when it's changed how you go sim racing. Moving on to some of the accessories I've got on my sim racing rig, and let's start with the button box. Bought this many years ago, and it's by a company called Ignition On. I hadn't heard of them before I brought this, but I'm so glad I stumbled across them. It is an all metal construction, and it's just built like a tank, and it's never given me any issues, any problems. I tend to use it now with the new wheel I've got, because that's got a lot of buttons that I use on a regular basis on the actual rim itself. This is now being used for in-game menus, you know, exiting out the sim, going through some of the black boxes and bits and pieces that you get on specifically iRacing, and I tend to use it to ignition and engine start, stuff that you don't use on a regular basis, but it's just handy to have a quick button or a quick switch to be able to deal with it. As I say, it's not used as much as it used to, but I just don't want to get rid of it because it's just such a really nice, well-made, sturdy bit of sim racing kit. So for my shifting, I have a dual shifter setup at the moment. This is going to change. I just didn't want to jump in and buy anything new until I'd had a chance to really figure out what I needed and what I wanted and where it was going to fit on the rig moving forward. So at the moment I'm using a trusty old Thrustmaster H-pattern shifter that I bought years ago. Didn't really have the room to use it when I was in my sim racing cupboard, so went up in the loft, found the box, dug it out, and it's now back on the rig, and I've forgotten just how good it is really. It's not very good as a sequential, but as a H pattern shifter, for the time being, it does the job. And you know, it's just a shame I hadn't had a chance to use it before now. And for my sequential shifting, I've temporarily fitted this SHH Newt shifter, a 3D printed shifter that is made by some guys in Spain. Had this God knows how long as well. It just performs faultlessly, and at the moment it's in sequential mode, and it's mounted up high and level with the wheel. So when I'm touring car racing or good old-fashioned GT1 cars, it's right there next to the wheel rim, so I can just bang up and down the gearbox. It works surprisingly well as a sequential shifter, considering it's, you know, only about €100. But again, along with the Thrustmaster unit down there, these two items are due to be replaced by one as and when I find out exactly what I want and where I plan on fitting it. And that's it. That's a complete tour of my sim racing den and sim racing rig setup as it is late 2023. I hope you enjoyed this detailed look breakdown of what I've got and why I've got it. Now, we all know that this isn't the final setup. There's always new pieces of sim racing gear becoming available, and let's face it, we do like to tweak, tinker and adjust. So Lord knows what this rig is going to look like come the end of 2024. Well, best way to find out is to hit that subscribe button and find out, because I'm sure to make a video about it in the coming months. If you have any comments, any questions, you know, you want to know anything related to my sim racing setup, then you know where to go. There's a comment section below, and I will get back to you and try and answer you in the best manner I can. Also, please let me know, what sort of sim racing setup have you got? Where are you sim racing? I'd love to know what my fellow sim racers are doing. So please list your PC setups and specs in the comments below. In the meantime, I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. It's something different. Yeah, I've not really done a proper detailed rig tour like this before. What I would love for you to do is do all the YouTubery things. Like it, share, subscribe. These things help out a small little content creator like me, and I just want to be able to share my enjoyment, my passion for this hobby of sim racing with as many others as I possibly can. In the meantime, thanks for watching and happy sim racing. Bye bye.